Kingdom. Had to buy some harmony. Now I'm flexing with my jewels. You could tell I got a lot on me. Grab another hero, feeling like I hit the lottery. Farming, getting APRs, stacking profits to the sky. 1x, 2x, 10x more.
Oh man, that's a dank intro.
Welcome. So good. Gets me all jazzed. The juice is really flowing here. So welcome to our good friend and fellow DFKer slash crypto extraordinaire, Tosh. Thanks for being on with us today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey, welcome, man.
So we're here today with Baby Punch, Sandwich Punch, Tosh, and myself. And we want to do a nice little segue, double click on Crystal Vale. It's coming up. We've talked about it before. We've done some analysis, but I think there's still a lot of conversations worth having. So I want to kick it off and just say, first topic, Crystal Vale. Will you be able to mine locked crystal right away? Can you bridge the crystal over to Serendale and start mining it? Do you mine in CV? So can we just get either Sam, one of you guys, can we double click? What's the mining strat? And if let's say I've got $5,000 in Jewel right now, or $1,000 in Jewel, what am I doing? What should I be doing?
Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I don't have any definitive details that this is exactly how it's going to be, but in terms of mining crystal, so I think there's a little bit of confusion about this. I saw some people on a prior stream and then also in comments on Twitter being like, this is going to be so awesome, I'm going to go over and start farming in the Crystal Gardens, or I think they're calling it the Ice Gardens, and I'll just send that crystal back over to Serendale and I'll start mining those sweet rewards. But I don't think that's how it's going to work. I mean, the jewel, it's the jewel mines, right? You go look at the miner in Serendale and it's you mine gold or you mine jewel. Crystal is, I just don't think that's an option. So you'll have to wait until Crystal Mining Quest is released. And they said that they would follow a similar cadence. So, Dex gets released, Gardens get released, followed by a Hero Mint, which in this case will probably be mostly a hero airdrop, since I think the vast majority are being given away, followed by Tavern, followed by Profession Quest. So I think that'll be a faster cadence, but I don't think, I would be very shocked if, Profession Quest were released with launch of Crystal, because that means everything's coming out, right? Gardens, Dex, Heroes, Tavern, Profession Quest all at once. That would be huge and super bullish. I just don't see that happening.
But Gardens day one, is that correct?
Yeah, we'll have the Gardens day one, but I don't think we'll see the mining for at least a month or two afterwards. Another thing that's kind of interesting with that is, with the Gardens rewards, it starts off with most of it being locked. So you'll only be able to mine if you've claimed it all. And we saw a lot of people strategizing with Jewel, at least, waiting to several epochs to claim their stuff. So it'll be really interesting how people strategize that, and if they claim right when mining comes out, or how they even go for that.
Do they have a Sandwich Punch? Are you familiar with Docs or Tosh or Baby Punch? What are the APRs projected to be? Roughly, do we have an idea? How lucrative is this going to be relative to the Gardens in Serendale?
Oh, Baby Punch and I were for it, Baby Punch.
I was gonna say, we don't necessarily know APRs, but we did look at the crystal emission compared to the jewel emission, and I know that they talked about making it essentially 25% or a quarter, and it was a little bit under that. And block, that first block was significantly lower than the 25%, but then it scaled significantly down. So it stayed 30% halfway through the year. And so it came out to about 21% of the total crystal compared to the jewel. So not necessarily APRs. I don't know. Do we have that information?
I think you might be able to math it out roughly with the current docs information. I personally haven't done that. But there's also a lot more in the air this time because there's just a lot more people that are going to be hopping into the ice gardens on day one than there were people hopping into the jewel gardens at day one.
Mhm.
So just the dilution is going to spread those APRs out quite a bit as well.
So,
Yeah, and I will
oh
just
yeah, go
real,
for it,
one
Tosh.
last item on that. So if you, I'm trying to remember which AMA it was, but Dreamer had actually a very, very good high level description about how APRs work. And it's really a function of three things. And those are so variable that I think it's impossible to calculate. Like is a
Could they
literally
be
impossible to
10,000
estimate.
though, or is that like crazy? Like, no, it's not going to be 10,000 APR. Could it be 1,000 APR?
I think 10,000 might be high.
10,000 is probably on the high end.
I mean, that's still. I mean,
I'm
with APRs in
totally like
Serendale being what they are, even if they were 1,000, that would be like 5x what you're getting in Serendale.
right, 95% locked versus 50 or what is it, like we're only in like 40 mid 40s locked right now in Serendale. And I think that Baby Punch and I talked about that on our last stream, is that that's gonna play into, because like let's assume a world where the lock percentage are the exact same between these two worlds, right? I think that what we would see is that you'd see people arbitragers jumping between the two gardens until the APRs were the same. But where a big chunk of it's going to be locked on Crystalvale, that's going to be a huge factor on top of the other three factors that impact APR, which are how many people are in it, what is the price of the power token. Shoot, I'm spacing the other one, but you know, there's
About the pairings, maybe?
what was that?
Something about the pairings, maybe?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at the AMA from Dreamer, but it was like a very cogent response on, because people were asking like, why are the APRs dropping, blah 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 blah, and he was like, listen guys, it's just an algorithm, it's a function of these three things, and he even got into like what's going to happen, you know, potentially as people leave Serendale, like those pools, you're gonna, if you like, let's just say you keep everything you have in your Serendale pool, your allocation of that pool is going to go up, and as people transition over to Crystalvale.
So that's the question. If I've got 5K, let's say, in gardens between $1,000 and $5,000, is the play? And I know we're guessing, but let's speculate. Is the play move to Crystalvale, or how? What's the framework we can use to make that decision? How should you evaluate that decision, even if we don't know the answer?
Oh, man, I think you really have to do like some future predicting with that too, because a lot of it's gonna depend on where the price of crystal goes and how quickly the jewel and crystal price kind of equalize out, which I know we're gonna talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other question is, I see someone in chat say, what measures are in place to protect Jewel when Crystal is launched? But to me, like, there's very little, you can't just buy Crystal. The only way to get Crystal is to stake. You can't just go get Crystal. So to me, Jewel price, at least initially, is only getting positive price pressure. Is that a fair statement? Does the panel agree?
Yeah, Jewel should get positive price pressure from Crystal Vale.
Absolutely.
And I'll say to Derek Schwegler, they actually have talked about this quite a bit, and there's this concept that Frisky brings up often, which is a high tide raises all boats. And I actually wrote an article about this. There really is not downside here for Jewel. If you look into the tokenomics and the power token, how it's going to work, it's like the amount of Jewel it costs to summon with in Serendale is the exact same. It'll be the exact same quantity for Crystal in Crystalvale. So if people are like, oh, you know, price of Jewel is going to tank and the price of Crystal is going to skyrocket, well, people would be idiots to be summoning in Crystalvale with like a token that's 5 times more, right? When it's the exact same quantity. So what would they do? Either swap your Crystal for bridged Jewel on AVAX, or I guess we'll call it DFK chain, or bridge your Crystal over Serendale, sell that for Jewel, and someone with a much cheaper token. And what happens as everyone starts to do that, and as you know, people arbitrage that opportunity, the price of Crystal goes down, the price of Jewel goes up until they meet, and there's an equilibrium, and there's no more arbitrage opportunity.
I will say, this is my own opinion. I don't know this for a fact, but my recommendation to the stream, my personal position is, whatever crystal you get, in my opinion, you should swap out immediately. burn it immediately, get the value you can. If we look at tiers, they were trading at like $30 at one point, and now I trade them for some rubles, and you know what rubles are trading at right now. So tiers are worthless, but they used to be amazing. Runes used to be $40, $50, $60. I think they're trading at $5. So things generally go down once supply increases. So there's going to be a supply constraint on Crystal. Everyone's going to be hyped for Crystal. So I'm thinking personally, when I'm allocated my Crystal for heroes and other airdrops, I'm likely going to swap out and just watch what the price does. I'm not going to hold Crystal. Any thoughts on that?
I don't necessarily agree, because Crystal is essentially going to have the exact same utility as Jewel. So we already have a token out that does the exact same thing that Crystal's going to do. And so it's not like tiers where that is the only token or item you can use in game to summon with, and same with Runes. But Crystal is essentially Jewel on the DFK chain. So we already have that utility. If you're thinking Crystal is going to be worth more, then people are just going to use Jewel to summon and do all their transactions. So
I was just saying, I predict a really high disparity that slowly creates equilibrium at some point, but that there will be that disparity. And so I'm saying you will get a premium initially, which will then slowly crawl down and match the price of Jewel. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
Yeah, so my take on that is that you have to know what's going to happen in the future for sure to make a really solid decision there. But it might be a good move to sell it right away. Let's say like at first, if Crystal is 3x the price of Jewel, then getting the 3x, like that 3 times price right there is huge. But the opportunity cost of that is you're missing out on the highest APRs that will ever occur in the Ice Gardens. So, so you have to have that like opportunity cost or analysis, and like, is this lock Jewel not as valuable as my cash in at 3x of Jewel price right now? Who knows?
There's a lot of financial advice in here, so let me get my friend Gary Gensler on the line real quick.
Gary, is that you?
So I will say this: that whole arbitrage that I was mentioning, that should eventually, and I don't know how far in the future that will be, create an equilibrium between these two prices. What I don't know, and this is where I fall a little more in line with Bloater Punch's thoughts, is that I don't think summoning will be available right away. So where you don't have these, I guess these in-game mechanics where the power token is used yet, then that the fact that those prices should be the same eventually might not be evident, or might not happen for a while, because it's like, I just gave that example of like, nobody's going to summon with Crystal that's 5 times more expensive when you can just go to Serendale and use Jewel, which is 20% of the price. But what happens if you can't summon with in Crystalvale for a month or two, right?
Right.
In that circumstance, we might see a big price disparity between the two.
So do you guys have your own, like, if you're working with finite capital here, I assume you are, what is your strategy for deciding what to keep in Serendale, or just high level guidance without maybe getting too specific, but how bullish are you on the Crystalvale opportunity versus remaining in Serendale? I mean, Tosh has said you got to be a future predictor, but certainly all of you on this panel will make a decision. And how are you going to do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think one more thing that I really want to see is that there's been mention of a single staking for Jewel to yield Crystal, that there hasn't really been that many details released about. So I'm kind of waiting on those details to make my decision, and like how much Jewel I would either allocate towards that staking option, or if this is kind of like described differently. So I'm waiting for a little bit more info before I make my clear decisions.
Okay. Same Sandwich or Baby Punch, or are you guys already pretty sold on a specific approach here?
So my thoughts are the APRs will be higher in Crystalvale, and that's just for the fact that most of the Crystal is going to be locked, and So it's going to be people's risk versus reward, and how much they want to bank on a locked bag of crystal versus having 50-60% of your jewel accessible right now. So those that don't have a ton and are more risk verse, they might jump straight into Crystalvale, stake in the gardens, bank on that locked bag, because they will ultimately, if this game goes long term and it flourishes and hits, you know, the masses, then a huge bag of locked crystal will be worth way more than the lesser amount of unlocked jewel we'll get right now. So that is the long term play. And so someone who might not have a ton in the game right now might take that approach, and that would probably be the approach that I would take if I didn't have a much in the game, and I'm thinking, hey, I don't have much, I want to just shoot for the moon here. I would stake it in Crystalvale and just play with that locked bag. That would be my approach.
I will say, I know this is a little shady, but it's lucrative, is you could sell locked balances, right? I do it all the time. And locked balances have value in and of themselves. And so there is a group of consumers in this space who will still give you the same premium, even though Jewel is going to come unlocked way sooner than Crystal. But if you've got 1,000 Crystal locked, you could still sell that and get a massive return, even if you're not bullish long term on Crystal, or even if you need the money now. So, acknowledging that fact as well, I know it's not as popular of a strategy for whatever reason, but there's huge money to be made if you're looking to sell locked balances, especially if the price, if this is price pressure up, locked balances could be really lucrative.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I agree. I think this is kind of annoying. People probably hate my responses, and it's always like the answer is it depends. But everyone's situation is going to be a little different. If I had a smaller garden position, I would 100% just ape into Crystalvale and be banking on that lotto ticket that is crystal and a larger locked balance. For me personally, I think what I'm kind of looking at is priority one. I want to get enough locked crystal to hit whatever the mining threshold will be once mining is released. So that's priority one for me. So that means I'm gonna want to get some money over into those gardens as soon as possible and build up a bigger locked balance. And what that probably means is claiming frequently and restaking and locking in that to just take the effect of compounding.
to get that first 20K as quick, or whatever the threshold is.
Whatever,
yeah. Just like that's your priority.
Yeah. But then I could definitely see myself full sending straight back to Sarandel and getting back in those gardens. For me right now, like the position I'm in, those garden rewards are great. I'm loving the unlock ratio, and honestly, I'd be tempted to just leave it all in there, but for the fact that I really want to get that locked balance so that I can be tapping 2 different locked balances with miners whenever Crystalvale mining is released.
I will say this, and I think this is bullish for the project. This is kind of obvious, but me in my head, and I think this is a similar thought, people are feeling this. I'm not really saying, am I going to take my gardens out? I'm saying I'm putting more money into the ecosystem. I'm going to keep a gardens position, and now I'm like, okay, here's another opportunity. I'm putting more money in. And if that's true, if that's a pattern, if that's not just me, then we're feeling pretty good. And this is pretty bullish. I will say, Space Cowboy had a comment. You can, I don't know your guys' thoughts on this. I think if people had perfect vision of the project from the beginning, not in terms of price, but in terms of roadmap and the way mechanics work, they would have used multiple wallets. People regret not having multiple wallets on their gardens. So the question is that something you're considering, Tosh or Sandwich or Baby Punch? Is, hey, let's use multiple wallets. That way I can have that threshold multiple times. Is that a consideration? It's kind of a bigger whale problem, or at least a bigger wallet problem. Something you're considering, though?
Potentially. I'm not like too set on it. I might do a second one if I find like my lock jewel or like lock crystal is accumulating so fast. But I'll probably just stick with my one. It keeps life a lot easier. Like if I was more of a whale, I'd probably go 2 or 3, but I like to keep life easy.
And by the way, before Sandwich Punch and Baby Punch respond on that, I want to clarify. So there's the mining component, but there's also, again, I said this already, but there's the selling the lock jewel component, and smaller balances are more liquid. If you've got 50K locked, that's harder to move than 5-10K locked balances. I don't know if that's a consideration for you guys, but certainly there's that component. Sandwich Punch, are you thinking about multiple wallets?
Sorry, I was on mute. So to this day, I haven't yet. It's just I have a hard time managing one wallet, and I can't imagine it's like the hassle of doing multiple. But there have been many, many times currently where I'm like, I wish my lock balance was in like 5 different wallets right now, and that I could tap that from 5 different ways. So to honestly, I haven't really thought about it yet, but it raises a very good point. And I think anybody that has a guarded position big enough to be considering that should seriously consider it. And I don't think that's shady. There's nothing wrong with multi-walleting. I mean, that is not an issue in my mind.
I just
And
think there's a
there are
negative stigma about selling locked balances, which is engendered by the team, which I again, it's not consumer friendly. Like, hey, we've earned these wallets. Why can't these be traded just like NFTs? Why is it? I don't know. I feel like they
Yeah.
have this weird stigma about selling locked balances.
Okay, I think I was taking this a different direction. I was going more from a perspective of just being able to mine in multiple wallets. But yeah, you make a good point. Like if you want to sell your locked balance, it's an all or nothing thing. I will say I don't know. I could see the smart contract changing for AVAX. Like I don't think they are bound to do the exact same for Crystal, right? So maybe they shut it down, and maybe they just don't even make it transferable, or maybe they change it so that it's, these are smart guys. They clearly didn't like it. They don't like the lock jewel market. I personally am not a big fan of it either, but so we'll see how it goes. Like maybe it might be completely different for Crystal in terms of selling lock balances, but in terms of mining, all of those things still apply. There is a negative connotation associated with multi-walleting often, but there's also just a negative connotation with people who have big balances. It causes a lot of discontent with the vast majority. It's the same thing with, the US politics and, the 1% versus the 99%. That's always going to exist. But the team tries to disincentivize it. Whether they do that well enough or not is, I don't really want to get into right now, but
Okay, let's take it one. I know we're gonna have a shorter program today. I did want to hit, what do we think about hero prices just in general? What's the supply of heroes? How does Crystalvale affect heroes? How does Perilous Journey affect heroes? We're deep in the project at this point in terms of a crypto project and the lifetime of a crypto project. DFK is very seasoned at this point relative to a lot of competitors, and we still don't have really a lot of hero utility from a PvP perspective, any. So, that being the primary use case of heroes, where are you guys on heroes? Do you care about heroes? What do you see? Just any thoughts on price of heroes with burning, and where's your head on heroes? Let's start with Tosh. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so Perilous Journey obviously is going to kill a ton of heroes. I think it's something like 25 or to like 25,000 heroes are expected to die from here. So we're going to see a pretty big supply shock right away. But with that too, we're going to see the Crystalvale Gen Zeros get rolled out fairly soon, and that's going to increase the production line of the heroes. So I think that will help accelerate the supply growth a little bit, and people are going to be excited about the new classes and what kind of combinations can come out of those. But also, when quests come out in Crystalvale, I'm assuming there's going to be some things that are going to be uniquely collected there, which could potentially increase demand for maybe like fishers or foragers again. But miners and gardeners are still, especially miners, are going to be in high demand to start whacking away at that locked crystal, which is even going to be more lucrative at first because the locks are going to be pretty high percentages at that point.
Baby Punch, what are you thinking?
So if you go to the tavern, the floor for heroes hasn't really been affected. Honestly, it's kind of gone down. So that being said, I do know, and Sandwich Punch has been doing this calculation for us all on Twitter, but the Gen 1 10 out of 10s have gone up in value, not significantly, but they have definitely gone up in value. And that's just because there's fewer of them out on the market. And if people want to summon, they're going to, pay that premium for the few that's out there. So it'll be interesting to see how the heroes with the new Gen Zeros that are coming out for Crystal Vale. But honestly, I think this is probably good. The floor of the heroes is going down, which could create an easier barrier of entry into the game. And then
we're gonna have AVAX people coming in. There's not gonna be heroes in Crystal Vale, or there'll be very few. Do they come over to Serendale? Does that happen? Does it create a pump in Serendale for heroes?
I would think so. I would think people from AVAX who haven't already gotten into DFK and are now seeing this DFK chat going all over AVAX threads and Twitters and media outlets that will probably try to get a good jump on DFK. And if they're not waiting for heroes to come out on AVAX, they will probably jump over into Serendale and buy some heroes. So that could cause, hopefully some positive price pressure on heroes.
I did see in chat someone said heroes are the real value in DFK IMO. And I just want to be really clear about something. I would have made life-changing money had I not bought heroes and went into the gardens. I've said it before. When I'm on my deathbed and my wife is gazing into my last, my last breaths, she's gazing in my eyes, and she says, "Do you have any regrets, husband?" I'm going to say, I should have not bought heroes and put into the gardens, YOLO'd into the gardens. So I get the hopium heroes. I get that the team wants you to think that, and I hope heroes work out, but heroes aren't worth anything relative to APRs, especially with APRs in Crystal Vale being what they're going to be. Like, why would you buy heroes right now? Tosh, am I crazy? Baby Punch?
Hold up.
I think you're crazy.
Get him sandwich.
I gotta say though, guys, Bloater Punch, we know each other in real life. We see each other, so you hear what he's saying here, but what you don't hear is, guys, I need a conservatorship. I literally just spent 1,000 jewel buying 8 advanced 5 out of 5 classes, and I'm summoning them out. Also,
I'm addicted. I have a problem.
Also, you don't hear him saying, "Oh my gosh, guys, I just summoned a mythic sage,
I did,
a legendary sage." So,
hey, the odds were not my favor. Okay?
Right. But that's the whole point of that. In terms of the summoning aspect of this game, it's a casino, and we love it. We love opening those booster packs. So, I agree with what you're saying. A lot of the stuff you're saying is true. We're waiting for more hero utility, but I just wanted to give the other side that you're saying this, but at the same time, Bloater Punch is going
I'm a hypocrite.
He only buys heroes. He only buys.
By the way, stream, if anyone can be my conservator and make this financial decision for me, please send applications in. I do need help. I keep buying heroes. I don't know why. Tosh, why am I crazy, by the way?
Yeah. So Bloater, he just hates that he loves it. So we could ignore that. But for me, I'm actually surprised that your price differences were so off there, because summoning has actually been the most profitable thing for me in DeFi Kingdoms by
Is this
far.
Gen Zero summoning?
So not necessarily, no. My biggest gains with DFK in general were selling my rare Dragoon that was really early on, and also just summoning my Dread Knights. If I would have sold them, I would have got massive profit off of them. So for me,
okay, but time out.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing how many Dread Knights you've summoned?
I only summoned one, actually. Okay. But I would have had good profit off of it.
Okay, but let me tell you a little story, okay? It was late one night, rainy outside, okay? Nice warm temp inside here, though. I had the heater going. I was in a comfy blanket, and I had a Dragoon, and I rented a Sage, okay? It was like a rare Dragoon, common Sage. I had a 7% shot for Dread Knight, and I had a 70% shot for at least a Sage or a Dragoon. It was something like that. And I hit summon, and I summoned a common basic mage. And I wanted to take serious steps to hurt myself, but I didn't. I refrained, because the opportunity cost of the summon of the Dragoon, the cost of the rental, the worthless hero I summoned, I mean, that's where it's it is a casino and I love it and I'm addicted and I want to open more booster packs, but should I be opening more booster packs?
I don't know. It's always like you got to weigh out the risk and reward there. Like my one Dread Knight, I think it took me 7 attempts, and I bought one, and then I summoned the 2 together to get the third. But like even just thinking about like doing like the Dread on Dread summon to get the third one, like that, like had really good ROI because I got the first one just off of like a few different summons. The second one I bought out, I think it was 1800 Jewel. Combine those together, and then you get one for like 12 hero that's worth like 12 to 1500 Jewel right there. There's a lot of good plays. I made some good plays with the Transcendent heroes, people speculating on those and summoning with them.
Okay, but let's be really clear on something, because Tosh, I think you are a man of great fortune and fame and luck. But if you went statistics, and me and Sandwich Punch have done this, I have degened into multiple rare advanced 5 out of 5s and summoned them to the floor and lost like 3K multiple times. Sandwich Punch has done it too. Sandwich Punch, come off mute, back me up. It's statistically not a good play. Yes? If you don't have a Gen 0, I don't see summonings being lucrative.
I disagree with that. I think that if you have a Gen 0, no, listen. If you have a Gen 0, it makes summoning with Gen 1s immediately profitable because you're say you can get it for 80 Jewel and the floor is 90. So I don't want to hear that like it is this giant crazy advantage. I'm getting it because usually it's a basic common. I'm getting it 10 cheaper, assuming I rent, 10 cheaper than the floor Gen 1. But I will say, I agree with you. I have had terrible luck with 5 out of 5 advanced class summons. It just has not gone well for me. I have had actually pretty profitable undertakings just buying a bunch of Gen 1s. I'll buy like 8 Gen 1s, one of each class, and summon them down to 5 summons. And Baby Punch has done the same. I've posted my results on Twitter a couple times. That has actually been pretty profitable for me.
Okay. Sandwich Punch, do you want to hit our giveaway and talk about the giveaway today? Or do you have any other topics you want to hit before we do that?
Nope, I'm good. Does anybody else have anything?
Let's do it. Let's give away a hero.
Okay, well, speaking of that whole thing I just talked about how summoning's a scam and you shouldn't be doing it, but I keep doing it because I'm addicted. We're giving away a rare Dark Knight 5 out of 5 summons. Sandwich Punch, what's the class?
It's a Dark Knight, a rare Dark Knight.
I'm sorry, profession.
It's a Gardener.
It's a Gardener. Rest in peace. But it is a 5 out of 5 rare Dark Knight, and I do want to throw out as well, this is Ogre's Dark Knight. We had a stream with Ogre on. He provided the rare Dark Knight, so thank you, Ogre. The winner never claimed it, and so now we are opening up this win for chat. So this is a chat-only opportunity, and Sandwich Punch will present the question to you, and then whoever answers first on our screen will win the rare 5 out of 5 Dark Knight Gardener. And remember, to qualify, you have to include your Discord ID with the answer. Sandwich Punch, take it away.
Yep. So guys, again, type in your Discord right now. Go ahead and put in your Discord ID. It'll be like, whatever it is. Mine would be Sandwich Punch, #2518. So get that ready so that all you have to do is type in your answer.
Okay, but Nate Dogg, don't type in your Discord now. He means type it into your
it needs to be with your answer.
So that Papa, don't type in your Discord yet.
Oh yeah, everybody's on their Discord
with your
now.
answer, but have it typed now, so that all you have to do is type your answer.
All right, you're all banned. Okay, seriously. So get it ready to type. Don't hit enter yet, because you're going to want your Discord tag and your answer in the same chat. Okay.
Ding. In your response.
All right. So here it is. I'm going to read it twice. DFK
wait. Do you want to set the topic? Like, set the topic stage first. Like, we're not doing Lord of the Rings. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's DeFi Kingdoms. I mentioned that in my tweets. It's DeFi Kingdoms. So, we're not going like obscure Brandon Sanderson, One Punch Man, although we love those. We love those trivia questions. So here it is. The question is, and here's a little bit of background before I hit the question. One of the potential rewards from the perilous journey, the death rewards, is enhancement stones. What is the name of the enhancement stone associated with dexterity? Again, what is the name of the enhancement stone associated with dexterity?
Ooh, let's see it.
So it's gonna be
Yeah.
the first one that, like, some of you guys that might show up differently on your screen. We're just gonna have to go with how it shows up on our streaming service.
Chaos Stone, no.
Negative,
Chaos
negative.
Crystal, no. Oh, Enrique 8401.
Enrique.
Are you
I'm
guys
seeing
seeing
it.
that in my YouTube chat?
Finesse.
That's the first one I see.
Yep, that's the first one I see too.
So Enrique 8401,
See
Finesse
here.
Stone, Sandwich Punch. Can you confirm
Got
that
it.
is correct?
Finesse Stone, that's the one.
Okay. Enrique 8401, we will be reaching out and we will be sending you that Dark Knight rare 5 out of 5 Gardener. Congratulations, Enrique.
Good work.
Make sure to give
Yeah,
Ogre
congrats,
a
man.
shout out. Make sure to give Ogre a shout out. Thank him for his generosity.
Absolutely. Congrats. That's a sick hero. Rare
Yeah,
Dark Knight.
that's a good one.
Fire.
Sweet.
That'll be
Let's
a
go, guys.
good
Thanks.
hero.
Thanks for joining us. We love chatting DFK. We love the Saturday stream, having guests on. So, Tosh, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
Tosh, you
thanks
the
for having
man.
me. This was super fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. See
All
you
right,
later,
have
guys.
a great weekend,